Congress just got involved. As of this recording, a United States Congresswoman is meeting with NASA officials, demanding answers about 3I Atlas. What she's asking for could change everything we thought we knew about this object. Because there's something NASA isn't telling us. Actually, there are now 10 things that don't add up. 10 anomalies that have scientists from Harvard to the Pentagon asking questions nobody wants to answer out loud. And here's the part that should terrify you, excite you, or at the very least make you pay attention. 3I Atlas is coming from the exact same direction as the most famous unexplained radio signal in history. The WOW signal. The one that made scientists in 1977 write WOW on the printout because they'd never seen anything like it. That signal came from a specific point in space. And now, 48 years later, a massive interstellar object is arriving from that same direction, within 9 degrees. The odds of that being random? 0.6%. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let me start with what happened in the last 48 hours that changes everything. Good morning. What you're about to hear is based on information released within the last 2 days. Some of it came from official government sources, some from congressional offices, some from NASA's own data finally being analyzed after weeks of silence, and all of it points to one inescapable conclusion. We don't know what 3I Atlas is, and the people who should know are asking the same questions we are. Before we go any further, if you want to stay on top of this developing story, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This story is moving fast, and tomorrow there could be major announcements. Your subscription genuinely helps us continue this coverage. Now let's get into it. November 5th, 2025, Avi Loeb, the Harvard astrophysicist who's been tracking 3I Atlas since its discovery, published new data from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory and the Minor Planet Center. This data covers the period from October 31st through November 4th, and it contains a bombshell. Remember how NASA confirmed that 3I Atlas was exhibiting non-gravitational acceleration? That was based on observations during perihelion on October 29th. The acceleration suggested massive outgassing, which meant the comet should be losing enormous amounts of mass. We're talking about 13% of its total mass. For an object estimated to be several kilometers wide, that's billions of tons of material. When a comet loses that much mass, you get a debris cloud, a massive visible plume of gas and dust that extends for hundreds of thousands of kilometers. It should be impossible to miss. Every telescope pointed at 3I Atlas should see it clearly, but here's the problem. The preliminary post-perihelion images don't show it. The debris cloud isn't there. Or if it is, it's so faint that multiple spacecraft and telescopes are missing it, which makes no sense given the calculations. Loeb calls this the 10th anomaly, not the 9th. The 10th. Let me list all 10 for you, because when you hear them together, the cumulative effect is staggering. Anomaly. 1. Its trajectory is aligned within 5 degrees of the ecliptic plane where all the planets orbit. Random probability, 0.2% anomaly. 2. It displayed a sunward jet, an anti-tail pointing toward the sun, which is extremely rare and not an optical illusion. Anomaly. 3. Its nucleus is 1,000,000 times more massive than Oumuamua and 1,000 times more massive than 2I Borisov. It's by far the largest interstellar object we've discovered. Anomaly 4. Its arrival timing brought it close to Mars, Venus, and Jupiter while remaining perfectly hidden from Earth at perihelion. Combined probability, 0.05%. Anomaly. 5. The gas plume contains much more nickel than iron, similar to industrial nickel alloys, with a nickel to cyanide ratio orders of magnitude higher than any known comet. Probability, less than 1%. Anomaly. 6. Its gas plume contains only 4% water by mass, while most comets are primarily water ice. Anomaly. 7. It passed perihelion just 8 days after solar conjunction, the optimal timing for any maneuver to be unobserved from Earth. Anomaly. 8. It arrived from a direction within 9 degrees of the famous WOW, Signal received in 1977. Random probability 0.6%. Anomaly 9. Near perihelion, it brightened faster than any known comet and turned bluer than the sun, suggesting either extreme temperatures or an alternative light source. Anomaly 10. It exhibits non-gravitational acceleration requiring the loss of 13% of its mass, but preliminary observations show no evidence of the expected massive debris cloud. 10 anomalies. Not 1, not 2, 10, each individually unusual, but together they create a statistical profile never seen before in any astronomical object, natural or otherwise, and that's why, on October 31, 2025, Representative Anna Paulina Luna of Florida's 13th Congressional District wrote an official letter to NASA's acting administrator, Sean Duffy. The letter, obtained and reported by Defense Scoop, makes a direct request. Release the data and imagery on 3i Atlas immediately. Luna's letter states, "This information is of great importance to advancing our understanding of interstellar visitors and their interaction with our solar system." She specifically mentions that she's working with a scientist from Harvard, which almost certainly means Avi Loeb, who has been publicly calling for the release of the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter's high-rise images since October. Here's what makes this significant. Congressional involvement means this is no longer just a scientific curiosity. When a member of Congress formally requests information from NASA, it elevates the issue to a matter of governmental transparency and potentially national security. And national security is exactly where this story takes its most interesting turn. According to multiple government officials who spoke to Defense Scoop under condition of anonymity, the Pentagon is monitoring 3i Atlas. Specifically, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO, is tracking it. Now, for those who don't know, AARO is the Pentagon's office responsible for investigating UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomena. It was created by Congress in the 2022 National Defense Authorization Act, specifically to investigate airborne, transmedium, and submerged objects that cannot be immediately identified. Why would the UAP office be tracking an interstellar comet? Because its behavior fits their mandate, an anomalous object whose nature and origin require investigation. Whether it's natural or artificial, whether it poses any risk, these are questions AARO is designed to answer. Defense Scoop asked the Pentagon directly, is 3i Atlas considered a national security threat? Is the Defense Department assisting NASA's observations? As of publication, no official answer has been provided. But the fact that AARO is involved tells you everything you need to know about how seriously this is being taken at the highest levels of government. If you're finding this as fascinating as I am, please take a second to like this video. It helps the algorithm show this content to more people who are interested in these developments. And subscribe if you haven't already, because we'll be covering the congressional meeting that happened today with NASA officials. Speaking of that meeting, according to Luna's spokesperson, NASA and Pentagon officials had not briefed House lawmakers on 3i Atlas prior to her request. That's notable. An object with 10 unexplained anomalies, potentially of interstellar origin, exhibiting behavior that requires Pentagon UAP office involvement, and Congress wasn't briefed. But as of today, November 6th, NASA officials are meeting with Representative Luna to discuss 3i Atlas. A government source confirmed to Defense Scoop that NASA intends to release relevant findings, data and observations once the government reopens. The shutdown has prevented public release, but the observation and analysis have continued behind the scenes. So what exactly happened during perihelion that we're only now learning about? Let's talk about the brightening event, because this is where things get really strange. Between October 31st and November 4th, new data shows that 3i Atlas brightened by a factor of 5 in the green band wavelength centered at 0.464 micrometers. That's a 500% increase in brightness in just 5 days. For context, most comets brighten gradually and predictably as they approach the sun. A 5-fold increase in under a week is extraordinary. What causes a comet to suddenly brighten like that? Normally, increased solar heating causes more ice to sublimate into gas, creating a larger coma and reflecting more sunlight. But we've already established that the expected debris cloud isn't being observed. So where is this brightness coming from? The non-gravitational acceleration measurements have also been updated. The original report from October 29th showed significant acceleration. The new data from November shows the acceleration value reduced by about a third. But Loeb points out this is within the measurement uncertainties. What matters is that the acceleration is still there, still significant, now standing at a 3.7 standard deviation detection. In scientific terms, that's robust. That's not noise. That's a real signal. The acceleration is measured at 1.38 astronomical units from the Sun, about 206 million kilometers. At this distance, the comet should be cooling down, not heating up. The outgassing should be decreasing. Yet the acceleration persists, and the expected mass loss isn't being observed. This is the paradox at the heart of the 10th anomaly. The comet is acting like it's losing mass, but it's not showing the visible evidence of that mass loss. It's like watching a car accelerate uphill without burning any fuel. The effect is there, but the cause is invisible. The wow. Signal connection. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. The wow. Signal on August 15, 1977. Ohio State University's Big Ear radio telescope detected a strong narrowband radio signal that lasted 72 seconds. It was so unusual, so powerful, so clearly not from any known natural source, that astronomer Jerry Amon circled it on the printout and wrote, "Wow," next to it. The signal has never been detected again, despite decades of follow-up observations. The signal came from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius, near the border with the constellation Scutum. Specifically, the region around right ascension 19·25 meters and declination -27 degrees. Atlas was discovered traveling from the general direction of Sagittarius. When its trajectory is traced backward through space, it originated from a point in the sky within 9 degrees of the wow. Signal's origin? 9 degrees might sound like a lot, but in cosmic terms that's remarkably close. The probability of this being a coincidence is 0.6%. Now, correlation is not causation. Just because two things are aligned doesn't mean they're connected. The wow! Signal was 48 years ago. For 3I Atlas to be connected to it, the object would need to have been sent specifically in our direction nearly 5 decades ago. Or more likely, much earlier, depending on its travel time. But here's what makes people uncomfortable. If you were an extraterrestrial civilization that wanted to send a probe to another star system, what would you do first? You'd send a radio signal to see if anyone's home. If you got a response or if you detected signs of technology, you'd send a probe to investigate. The probe would arrive decades or centuries later, depending on the distance and speed. We never responded to the wow signal because we didn't know where it came from until much later. And by then, repeated observations found nothing. But an advanced civilization 48 light-years away would have received Earth's radio and television broadcasts by the late 1970s. They would know we're here. I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm saying this is why the 8th anomaly matters. It's not proof of anything. It's a statistical correlation that demands investigation. The scientific debate Loeb, in his latest post, now ranks 3I Atlas at the highest level yet on his technological origin scale. With 10 anomalies, the object has gone from a score of 4 out of 10 to something even higher. Each new anomaly increases the cumulative improbability of the natural explanation. But here's the counterargument, and it's important to present it fairly. Professor Darrell Seligman and other mainstream astronomers argue that we're only seeing 3 data points total for interstellar objects. Oumuamua was strange. Tui Borisov was normal. 3I Atlas is strange in different ways. With a sample size of 3, we simply don't know what's normal for interstellar visitors. Every unusual characteristic could be explained by the extreme environments these objects experience during billions of years of interstellar travel. The radiation exposure, the cosmic ray bombardment, the passage through different stellar environments, all of this could create chemistry and behavior we've never seen in solar system comets. NASA's official position remains clear. Tom Statler, NASA's lead scientist for solar system small bodies, told reporters, "It looks like a comet. It does comet things. It very, very strongly resembles, in just about every way, the comets that we know." And NASA Acting Administrator Sean Duffy responded to the public concern by stating, "NASA's observations show that this is the third interstellar comet to pass through our solar system. No aliens, no threat to life here on Earth. So why is Congress involved? Why is the Pentagon's UAP office monitoring it? Why did Avi Loeb feel compelled to publish a paper asking if defensive measures might be needed? Because uncertainty at this scale demands scrutiny. When you have 10 anomalies, each individually improbable, the responsible thing to do is investigate thoroughly, not assume, not dismiss, investigate, and that investigation is happening. Between now and December, we'll have unprecedented opportunities to study 3I Atlas as it becomes visible again and approaches Earth." Upcoming observations November 11th, 2025, less than a week from now. Amateur astronomers will start seeing it in the pre-dawn sky. The comet will be in the constellation Virgo, near the bright star Spica. You'll need an 8-inch telescope minimum, but it should be visible at magnitude 10 to 11. The critical question everyone will be asking, is there a debris cloud? Has the comet visibly changed? If massive outgassing occurred, we should see evidence immediately. If we don't, that strengthens the 10th anomaly significantly. November 15th to 16th. The comet passes within half a degree of the galaxy NGC 4691. Astrophotographers will have a beautiful target. And the juxtaposition of an interstellar visitor against a distant galaxy will provide scale reference for measuring any coma expansion. November 27th marks the beginning of the International Asteroid Warning Network's Special Observation Campaign, running through January 27, 2026. This is unprecedented. IAON doesn't normally organize campaigns for comets. They focus on potentially hazardous asteroids. But they're treating 3I Atlas as a training opportunity to improve comet tracking methodologies. Or perhaps there's another reason for the heightened attention. December 2025, the James Webb Space Telescope makes its second round of observations. These will be detailed spectroscopic analyses of the comet's composition. If there's anything unusual about the molecules being emitted, Webb will find it. December 19, 2025. Closest approach to Earth at 168 million miles. Hundreds of telescopes will be focused on 3I Atlas. The Hubble Space Telescope will perform ultraviolet spectroscopy to determine gas composition and the sulfur-to-oxygen ratio. This is our best chance to gather definitive data. February 2026, we finally get the data from ESA's JUICE spacecraft, which observed 3I Atlas on November 4th from about 40 million miles away. JUICE used multiple instruments including cameras, spectrometers, and particle sensors. That data could confirm or refute several of the anomalies. March 16, 2026, close approach to Jupiter. NASA's Juno spacecraft will observe the comet and can potentially use its radio antenna to search for any electromagnetic emissions. If 3I Atlas is transmitting anything, Juno would be positioned to detect it. These next few months are critical. Every observation either reinforces the natural explanation or adds to the list of anomalies. The scientific method is working exactly as it should. Hypothesize, observe, test, revise. What makes this story so compelling isn't that we have answers. It's that we're watching the process of discovery in real time. Congressional involvement ensures transparency. Pentagon monitoring ensures national security implications are considered. NASA's observations continue despite the government shutdown. The international scientific community is united in wanting more data. Loeb published something interesting in his latest post. He received an email from Australia, from a scientist expressing solidarity with his approach. The scientist wrote about being drawn to Loeb's writings not because of 3I Atlas specifically, but because of his position on the current state of scientific thought. This is the deeper issue. Science advances when we ask uncomfortable questions. When Galileo suggested the Earth orbits the Sun, he was challenging centuries of accepted wisdom. When Einstein proposed relativity, he was contradicting Newton. Progress requires someone willing to ask, what if we're wrong? Loeb isn't claiming 3I Atlas is artificial. He's asking, given 10 anomalies, what's the responsible way to investigate this? Should we assume it's natural and risk missing something extraordinary? Or should we keep all possibilities open until the evidence conclusively points in one direction? The majority of scientists lean toward the natural explanation, and they may well be right. But the minority asking questions aren't conspiracy theorists. They're following the data wherever it leads, even if that makes people uncomfortable. Here's my take, for what it's worth. Whether 3I Atlas is the strangest natural comet ever observed or something else entirely, we're privileged to be alive during this moment. An object from another star system is passing through our cosmic neighborhood, close enough to study, carrying information about conditions in a planetary system we'll never visit. The odds of this happening during your lifetime were incredibly small. The odds of having the technology to study it properly were even smaller. The odds of having a global scientific community coordinated enough to observe it from multiple platforms simultaneously? Nearly zero a century ago, yet here we are. Spacecraft at Mars captured it. Spacecraft near Venus have data. Spacecraft heading to Jupiter observed it. The Hubble Space Telescope, the James Webb Space Telescope, solar observatories, ground-based telescopes around the world, all focused on a single object for months. This is what humanity can do when we work together. When politics and borders matter less than discovery. When curiosity overrides fear. When the question, what is it, matters more than what do we want it to be. In 5 days, on November 11th, we'll start getting answers. The debris cloud question will be settled. The comet's brightness and activity level will be measured. Amateur astronomers will contribute observations that professionals will use in their analyses. Citizen scientists will play a real role in solving this mystery. If you want to be part of that community, if you want to follow this story as it develops, subscribe to this channel. Turn on notifications. We'll be here with updates as soon as they happen. December 19th especially will be a critical moment, and we'll have comprehensive coverage. To everyone watching, thank you for taking this time to explore this with me. Thank you for engaging with science even when it's uncertain and complicated. Thank you for being the kind of person who hears about 10 anomalies and wants to understand them rather than dismiss them or jump to conclusions. Keep watching the skies. Keep asking questions. Keep demanding transparency from the institutions we've entrusted with this knowledge, and keep that sense of wonder alive. Because whether 3I Atlas is the most unusual comet in recorded history, or something that rewrites everything we know, we're watching it happen together.